Hi, everyone. Welcome to JA Inspire Virtual. My name is Nicole Fond, and I'm the Program Director for Junior Achievement of Mahoning Valley. I have with me Julie Green. Julie is the Director of the Trumbull County Planning Commission, and she has a great presentation prepared for us today. I want to remind all participants that question and answers will only be available through the Q&A chat at the bottom of the screen. So please enter any questions that way. So at this time, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Julie. Julie, it's all you.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for inviting me, Junior Achievement, and Nicole, and Michelle Merkel, and Denise Holloway, and Bobby Marino. I appreciate it. And to all of you students, thank you for attending this morning. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen with you. This is just a brief presentation that I put together to sort of give you a little bit of a background on what is the Trumbull County Planning Commission. So our mission is to guide the unincorporated areas of Trumbull County as a planning and decision-making resource. We have a full set of, we have a staff and a board of directors who all participate in that process. We provide services such as comprehensive planning, economic development, subdivision regulation administration, mapping, and a whole litany of grant projects, administration, funding. And so we're just very, well, I tried to select the next page and couldn't get there. Okay, so on to the next page, sorry. Our comprehensive planning process is a guide for the future development of our communities. And so we feel that planning is a necessary step in helping decision makers plan for the future. And I won't read the whole slide to you. You can have that to reference later. However, the Planning Commission powers and duties are set in Ohio Revised Code, Chapter 713. And they include, but are not limited to, doing things like comprehensive planning, economic development, GIS mapping, and floodplain administration, and things like that. So we are working on a number of plans currently through collaborative efforts with dozens of regional partners and stakeholders, including right now, ongoing, we have an ADA transition plan for the county, a broadband feasibility study, a Golden Triangle infrastructure improvement plan. We're working with our Youngstown Air Reserve Station, the City of Warren. We're working with Eastgate Regional Council of Governments, and I can provide more detail regarding all of those ongoing studies during the Q&A. So one of our primary functions is to administer the Trumbull County subdivision regulations. And so we provide assistance to the unincorporated areas. Trumbull County has 24 townships, 5 cities, and 6 villages. So we primarily are the focusing on the 24 townships in our county. And so actually 4 of our townships in Trumbull County do not have zoning, and those include Brookfield, Mecca, Mesopotamia, and Vernon. So we provide services and in consultation with various surveyors and landowners to divide land according to our subdivision regulations, and also provide site plan review, zoning text, and map amendment reviews. And all of that is then passed on to our Plats and Zoning Subcommittee, who reviews our staff's recommendation, and then the full board, which is comprised of 11 members, including 3 of our commissioners, then make the decision on approving or disapproving the minor or major subdivision of land in Trumbull County. So again, there's a lot of interesting details associated with that, and I can elaborate more. I don't think we have much time to get into the details, but that's the basics of it. One of our primary grant funding programs that we administer through the Trumbull County Planning Commission is the Community Development Block Grant, although it's not the only grant program. So it's one of the longest running grant programs in our country, and it helps local communities to provide assistance to low-income persons or special needs, special class persons, to provide things like affordable housing, anti-poverty programs, homeless assistance, infrastructure development. As you can see from our list, our current list of grant programs is quite extensive, and they're varied and spread out across our county. And so we try to help communities identify needs, and then we try and identify funding sources to meet those needs. So the CDBG program is one of several grant programs that we try and go after in order to meet those needs and improve the quality of life for our whole county. One of my favorite projects, and many of you have probably ridden on the Great Ohio Lake Trove Greenway. I've been working on this project for 19 years. It's almost complete in Trumbull County. It's currently being developed as part of Phase 4 under the Trumbull County Metro Parks Director, Zach Svet. I personally worked on Phases 1 and 2 back in the earlier part of the century, and helped with Phase 3. So currently, it extends north to the county line within Trumbull County, and then south to the county line. The last phase is the connection point between the city of Warren and the city of Niles, and that is well underway. So we're excited to complete our portion of the Great Ohio within Trumbull County within the next several years. And eventually, once it's completed, it will connect Lake Erie to the Ohio River, which is very exciting. We draw a lot of people to our community. It's a destination point, and we're really proud of that project, and we hope to be able to complete that soon. So the Trumbull County Planning Commission undertakes many different projects throughout the year, and we have many additional responsibilities, including floodplain administration. So I'll mention my staff. My assistant director, Nick Coggins, is primarily, we all work on everything together as a team, but his primary focus is economic development along with housing. And TJ Kieran works on GIS mapping as well as floodplain administration. Our Katie Phillips is our subdivision regulation person, community development person. And again, we work together as a team to help one another, but those are the primary focus points. We also have Mitzi Sabella, our executive assistant, who provides us all with assistance and has actually worked for the county for almost 40 years. So she's an institution of knowledge, and we all appreciate her. So, and I don't know if I introduced myself at the beginning. I am Julie Green, the current director of the Trumbull County Planning Commission. I worked for the county for almost 20 years. Prior to that, I was in graduate school and in various teaching positions. And so, you know, geography was my major, and planning has always been something that I was drawn to, even and public service, even as a youth. And so I'm very happy to be able to serve Trumbull County in this capacity, and happy to be with all of you here today. So I think that's about 10 minutes, giving a little bit extra time for Q&A if there is any. And of course, if you have any questions, please contact me, and we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Great presentation. Thanks, Julie. While we wait for the Q&A to populate, I want to remind everyone, if you have a question, please go ahead and enter it in through the Q&A chat at the bottom of the screen. Julie, could you speak a little bit more about your job and some of the daily tasks that you do?
Sure. So again, we have a staff of 5, and we work together as a team. I am the director, and so, you know, the director is tasked with things like personnel issues, making sure that all of our policies and procedures are up to date, especially as they relate to grants. We do grants research, grant writing, grant administration, which includes a lot of different things like reporting, environmental reviews, project management. You know, a lot of our funding is federal funding, which is subject to Davis-Bacon prevailing wage. So we are tasked with making sure that all of our projects are in compliance with the various federal and state regulations that are that govern them. With subdivision regulations, you know, we take phone calls daily from persons looking to complete lot combinations or lot splits. And when I say lot, I mean the piece of property or parcel that your home sits on, or it could be a vacant parcel. So all of those processes are governed by our subdivision regulations, including the development of a new area or a new subdivision. And so that enables a fair and a good way of making sure that all development is done in a professional and even manner. So, you know, we want to make sure that all of the infrastructure is installed according to, you know, the correct engineering regulations. And so we coordinate with a number of county offices to make sure that, you know, all of these processes are done with communication through, you know, the county engineers, the county combined health district, and a host of others.
Wonderful, great. We have a question from Sam. How do you decide who to prioritize when giving out grants? So how do you decide who to prioritize when giving out grants?
Okay, so each grant program is different in how they decide at the state or federal level what is going to be funded. So you first need to research all of the grant programs to see if they're even a good fit for projects that you have identified through your planning process. So through the Community Development Block Grant Program, every year we hold public meetings, and we have a community development implementation strategy where we ask all of the various communities that are eligible to participate under this particular grant program, which is just one of many, what their needs and priorities are. So we try to make sure that we are getting as much input from our local communities as possible, but we also have to ensure that the projects are able to be funded through these grant programs, because they do have a lot of criteria that that we are required to meet in order to be eligible to apply. And that's a general way. I can give you a specific example. So for CDBG, there's 2 things that you have to meet. You have to either meet a national objective in order to qualify. So the CDBG funding is for persons who are part of a limited clientele, like seniors or homeless persons, or they could qualify by income, either by the household income or by the area income. So there's a lot of criteria that have to be met, and knowing what funding sources are out there and what our needs are is the most important thing. And, you know, obviously in Trumbull County, I would say our greatest needs and focus is on making sure that our county residents have a safe living environment. And the main focus for that is making sure that the infrastructure is up to date and making a safe environment for everybody.
Great. We have just a couple more minutes. Again, I want to remind everyone to please enter your questions through the Q&A at the bottom of the screen. Julie, what would you say your biggest challenge is?
Well, in 2020, I think it's the same as everybody, making sure that we are communicating through this virtual world. But even prior to 2020, I think it is, you know, just trying to get people to participate in the planning process and providing feedback. I know sometimes people don't feel like their voices matter or that they're not being heard, but I would encourage each person watching that, you know, we do want to know what people think. There's currently a planning initiative going on hosted under the Eastgate Regional Council of Governments. It's for the Mahoning River restoration effort. And it's an interactive planning process. And so if you, and I can try and share that link with you, but after the meeting, but we really encourage all of our community members to provide their feedback and their needs. And, you know, it does take a while to secure funding, especially things like the bike trail, which are, I think, very important, but unfortunately, they are usually second to more important things like infrastructure. So I would say that's our challenge, is making sure that people are participating and that we are reaching everybody and addressing everybody's needs and concerns.
Great. Thank you. Julie, I know you mentioned that you were interested in, was it geography when you were in school? What would be a good degree or a pathway to take for any students who are interested in doing something similar?
Well, geography and planning is a social science. I actually graduated from YSU, which is a great geography department. I understand YSU recently combined some of their departments, but it's still under the social sciences heading. My minor was in history. So I think that anyone with any sort of interest in environmental sciences or social justice type issues or community development, really, there's no specific major, but I would say probably geography and planning or urban planning, so anything along those lines would sort of prepare you for a future in community development. Engineering is another, I think, so.
Great, thank you. Sierra asks, what is the hardest part of your job?
I'm very lucky, blessed. I love my job. I love it. Sometimes I just feel like I don't have enough hours in the day to accomplish what I'd like to accomplish. I'd say probably the most difficult part of anybody's job and anyone's day-to-day living is, you know, navigating all the various bureaucracies that we face in government and in trying to accomplish our goals. So there's a lot of very detailed instructions and grant applications and regulations and laws and codes. And so just trying to make sure that we weigh everything in a a good manner in order to make sure that we make the best decisions possible and accomplish as much as we can to help people.
Thank you. Again, I want to remind everyone to enter your questions via chat. We do not have the ability to unmute and have you speak your questions. So I'm going to give it another minute or so. I want to remind everyone that you can access more information via the exhibitor booth in the exhibit hall. And you can also download a copy of Julie's PowerPoint presentation through the auditorium feature. That is all available for you today and will continue to be available for the next 90 days. Okay. There are no additional questions. Julie, any final wrap up for these folks?
I would just say thank you again for inviting me to speak. I actually was a volunteer for Junior Achievement probably 18 years ago, and I enjoyed it. I believe I was in the Champion School District, and just I think it's a wonderful organization, and we appreciate your commitment to our county.
Thank you. Thanks again for your time. Great information. We really appreciate you being a part of JA Inspire Virtual.
Thank you.
Thanks.